Here's the story of how I made my first $100,000 selling durags, and yeah, it sounds crazy, but let me tell you how it actually happened. So when I first got started in the durag space, I literally started off like as a side hustle. Like right out the gate, out of high school, I had a kid at 18 years old, and to be honest, everybody has their sad story. So for me, I graduated high school with a 2.6 GPA, immediately had a kid, and right at that moment, I realized real life hit. I couldn't go to college. I watched all of my friends go to college and figure out what they wanted to be in life. And if you were ever like me, you probably were sitting in school realizing like, yo, none of this stuff is actually for me. Like, I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to be a police officer. I don't want to be none of those things. I want to figure out who I am. So for me personally, right after high school, having a kid, it literally set me back. I felt like in that moment, like a decade, because there was a lot of decisions I wanted to make, but I couldn't make. And a lot of money that I needed, I didn't have. So it was up to me to go figure out a way to make sure I provide for my newborn, right? So when I first got out of high school and I literally picked up a job, the first job that I picked up was working at a factory. So I was getting paid right around $10.75 an hour. And what I was doing with this money is I was taking this money and I was going to a beauty supply store. Now at this beauty supply store, if you guys didn't know, I used to live in Egypt for probably 4 or 5 years. And with me living there, I picked up Arabic and I was able to speak Arabic to one of the people who owned the beauty supply store, right? And he was actually like really, really cool. He was like, yo, you know, if you want to sell these durags, because at the moment I was like, you know what, I just need some type of side hustle. Like I need something that's going on. And if you guys were anything like me, you know, being on point face wise and all those things were very important. So I wanted to always make sure that my hair looked good. Now, really, if I rewind back from there, right, the reason I even wanted my hair to look good or to have waves was because when I was in high school, I had like this long blonde hair, and it was like the Odell style back in then. And what I had to do was cut it all off. It was a decision I made at 18 and a half or 19, because I realized that if I wanted to make a lot of money, or if I wanted to work at a job where I could have the highest chances of getting paid a sufficient amount to take care of me and my family, that I actually needed to cut all of my hair off. So that's exactly what I did. And by doing so, it was kind of like a transformational moment in my life, because I literally picked up a brush and I just started brushing. I started watching a bunch of videos, and I was really into having good waves. I just wanted my hair to look good, right? And for me personally, I needed a durag. So that's when I was already like, you know, I already had the wave stuff going on. I was doing research on it, and it made nothing but the most sense in the world to just pick up durags and start selling them. So I went to that beauty supply store, and my first investment I ever made with my side hustle and my business was $30. I was able to start buying these durags for around $3 each, and I was buying them by like 5 or 10 at the time. So at my first investment, I only got like 8 or 9 of them, and basically I left the rest because I didn't want to go completely broke buying durags, right? But what I did was I didn't really have a huge social media following. I took those durags and I started posting them on my social media. Now I'll probably throw up some videos inside of this video as well, so you guys can kind of see the time lapse of how I got to where I am now. But those videos are what actually started me off making a little bit of money on the side of what I was doing at a factory. Was I was basically taking these durags and I was basically posting all of the different colors that I had, but on top of that I was running like different sales. So if you bought 3, then you get it for this price. If you bought 4, you get it for this price. And that's kind of like how I started getting my clientele. So every single day I will wake up and go to the beauty supply store, buy these durags, post it on my social media account. And the biggest thing is that I was delivering them to people at this time. So a lot of what I was doing was really trying to just build some type of clientele out of whatever I had. I had a 2009 Impala. It had the ticking time bomb noise inside of it, so people used to make fun of me. And in reality, I was very self-conscious about a lot of those things. However, that was one of the biggest things that I've had. That one car, that one idea to sell durags, that completely changed everything. So I started delivering these durags. I was posting on my stories, and every single time I delivered a new product to somebody, I told them this one thing. I said, yo, I really appreciate you for supporting my side hustle. However, if you can post this on your story and just tag me, it'll help me tremendously. Now by doing so, this is how I was able to get my name around the city, Cleveland, Ohio, without me having to spend any money on ads or any type of marketing dollars. It was really just me driving around, delivering them, and asking people to shout me out on their stories. And that's how I started to get a lot of referrals through people's stories. So my clientele slowly started going up and up and up. And then eventually I started getting to the point where I had people who would buy multiple items from me, and then they would buy again. So those were my repeat customers. Now with me, I didn't really know what I was doing. I just was riding around with money in a Ziploc bag inside of my armrest. And to me, it was like, yo, this is something that's better than me working a job, but it's not making me enough to pay for my entire lifestyle. So that's when I actually went 2 feet in, and I was like, all right, let me stop delivering. Let me see if I can build an actual online business. So I started going to YouTube and I was looking up like how to build a website, and then Shopify pops up out of nowhere. And I was like, yo, like what is Shopify? I started looking at all the different videos. And for me, I went down a rabbit hole of trying to understand what e-commerce was. What is Shopify? How do you build a website? And then the videos I was watching of building a website were like 3 3 hours long. So if you guys want to learn how to build a website, I have one on my YouTube channel where I built one right in front of you in less than 25 minutes for free. So make sure you guys go check it out because it would have helped me tremendously, right? However, when I built my first website, I built it off of my phone. So at this time, I was like right around 19 and a half. I got kicked out of my mom's house. So me and my daughter were out sleeping on our grandmother's floor. And for me, it was like a crazy life moment where I had to realize I had to change something about my life and how I was going to go about things. So that's when I said, all right, I'm going to start this business. I'm going to take it very seriously. I'm going to put 2 feet in. I'm going to still keep my job. I'm going to still do all the things I want to do. However, I just got to really put 2 feet in here to provide for me and mine, right? So when I did this, I started my first business called Durag. Now, the name of this brand actually came up from me typing out like 16 or 20 different names in my phone, and Durag came up because obviously people were buying durags from me in the city, and I just felt like Snag A was just like I don't know, it popped into my head, and that's really how I started my business and where the name came from. So with that, I took that business name and I started buying these products in bulk from Alibaba and from manufacturers overseas. And I learned about this through YouTube as well. So a lot of how I got my success came from YouTube University. If you're watching this, you took a step in the right direction. So what I did was I took those videos and I started applying the information that I was getting, and I found a couple different manufacturers that would work with me, and I started buying these items in bulk. And this is where everything started to change. I started buying them in bulk, and then I started posting them on my Instagram. However, I told people I was no longer delivering, and the only way that they can get my products from me was from shopping online. Now, by doing so, I pushed all of my clientele that was in person to online, and that's how I was able to start getting a lot of emails, phone numbers, and even sales in the beginning. Now, when I first started, I only made like maybe $1,500 my very first month of doing this and turning it into a real business. But after a period of time of posting consistently, talking about waves, talking about the quality of the products that I was selling, then we started to get up there in sales, and eventually I had my first $10,000 month. And the way I did this was I started adding in other products that were adjacent to durags, like bonnets and headbands and brushes, and that's how I was really able to start scaling quickly. Now, a crazy thing is that I actually took those ideas and then I started creating couples pieces, which really started going viral for me on Instagram, and then we started learning how to run ads, and that's kind of how we started to pick up in sales very, very quickly. Now, with this business, we have over 8,000 orders, so we've serviced a lot of people and gotten a lot of people in our products. However, a lot of it really just came from me starting the side hustle just to put food on the table. And again, I didn't know that it would get to this point, but I just knew that if I put 2 feet in and I waited over a long period of time of me just being consistent, that something could possibly work. And that's all I was looking for. So when I made my first, I would say $10,000 selling these durags and working my job, I was like, all right, I looked at it like this: we're at 10K, how do I get to 25K? Then 25K, how do I get to 50, 75, 100? So that's exactly how I did it. I looked at how could I achieve these numbers through selling these products to mass amounts of people. And I just started posting consistently. I started staying focused on the actual content itself and the quality of my content. And then one day, everything changed. I did a video with me and my daughter wearing this new product. We were selling velvet durags, and it was very hot and new back when we first started it. I think there was only like 2 or 3 brands who were actually doing it. And what I did was I took these velvet durags and I put one on my daughter's head and I put one on mine, and magically the video just ended up going super viral. And that was the first video that really was the catalyst of us getting to $100,000 in sales. Now, I reached 100,000 in sales after about 15 or 16 months of starting this business. But for me to start by buying these durags for low, selling them to people around the city, for me to go from like doing that to starting something, a business that really made $100,000, that's when everything changed. Now, a little bit after that, we really started scaling heavier. We started spending even more money on ads. We started sending products out to influencers, and eventually we did over $100,000 in profit. I think at that point we were profiting probably around 64% just because of the types of products we were selling. And then we had a mess up where we were selling designer durags, and then magically Louis Vuitton emails us and they send us a letter in the mail asking us to take down the product. So around that time we were doing like right around $20,000 to $30,000 a month. So to think I was doing that type of quantity selling durags is absolutely insane, but it was even more insane for me because at the time I was like, yo, I was once broke and now I'm doing $30,000 in a month selling durags. And what I want you guys to understand about this story is that whatever small idea you have doesn't mean that it's insignificant. It'll only be insignificant if you don't actually take it serious over a long period of time. You see, I made my very first $100,000 liquid in the bank from this one side hustle, and that one side hustle turned into a business, and that business turned into multiple other business ideas that were created, and that changed everything for me. Now I can say at 23 I've made well over $3 million, but with that being said, it's about keeping the money that you make, and I've invested a lot of the money that I've made from my e-commerce brands into stocks, and that's why you guys see a lot of the stock videos on my channel. So with this being said, I know you guys have been watching for quite some time now, and again, this is just a small little part of my story that I feel like is significant for a lot of people who are just starting out. But I really hope that the video that I just made really sunk in with you. Whatever small idea it is, whatever business idea it is, whatever it is, I hope you just take it seriously over a long enough period of time and don't fold when things get tough, because at the end of the day, business is a roller coaster and we can't actually manage how well things are going to go for us and when it's going to go well. However, all I know is that if you put your head down, you stay focused, you'll be exactly who you want to be in the near future. So with that being said, my name is Dantes Akram. Make sure you guys hit the sub button, hit the like button, and let me know down below in the comments what was your favorite part about this story. I can't wait to share more with you guys on my YouTube channel, so making sure you guys stick around for more. Peace.